Guys, what is going on? Here's my Week 9 NFL Power Ranking. So Week 8 was pretty crazy. So this power ranking was pretty difficult to make, I will say that. So coming in at number 32, no surprise, I have the Detroit Lions. They are 0-8, the only defeated, I almost said undefeated, the only defeated team in the league, the only team without a win. And honestly, I don't know if they're going to win a game this season. I mean, I thought they could possibly get a win versus the Eagles, but they lost by a ton. At number 31, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars, so they are still not a good team. They do have a win though, a singular win. They lost by a ton versus the Seahawks, and they only put up 7 points versus the Seahawks defense. That is not very good. At number 30, I have the Houston Texans. So this is another team that lost by a lot of points this week. They have one win too. They could not put up points till the fourth quarter in their game versus the Rams, and when they put up their first points, they were down 38-0. At number 29, I have the Miami Dolphins. So the Dolphins still haven't won since week 1, which is absolutely crazy in my opinion. They lost to the Bills this weekend, but honestly, they played a very, very competitive game with the Bills. It was 3-3 at halftime. This game was close in the fourth quarter, but the Dolphins could not get the clutch stop when they needed one, and they couldn't put up the points when they needed them. Number 28, I have the New York Giants, my favorite team. They lost last night, Monday Night Football. They just can't win games. They can't close out games. They don't play fundamentally sound football. You guys can go watch my reaction video to that game if you want to see how my heart was broken last night. At number 27, I have the Washington football team, another disappointing team this season. They go for it on fourth down a ton. The problem is they barely convert on fourth down. Heineke, he turns the ball over a ton. I keep saying this. He's a good backup, but he's not an NFL starter. At number 26, I have the Atlanta Falcons. So this team now drops below 500. This offense looked really bad in this game. I mean, they only scored 1 touchdown. And this defense couldn't get a sack versus Sam Darnold, not 1 sack. At number 25, I have the New York Jets. So how about the New York Jets though? I mean, they can apparently beat good football teams. They have beat the Titans, and this weekend they beat the Bengals after the Bengals beat the Ravens. So they played their backup quarterback because Zach Wilson was out. Mike White had an insane game, just an incredible performance by him. He threw for over 400 yards. And just, yay, shout out to the Jets. I love when the Jets do well. Good for them, I will say that. At number 24, I have the Carolina Panthers. So they won versus the Falcons, but let me say this was not a pretty win for the Panthers. Yes, a win is a win, but the Panthers could only score 1 touchdown, and this team just doesn't look like a playoff team. At number 23, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. So they absolutely dominated the Lions. Hurts only completed 9 passes, but the Eagles ended up with 44 points. How crazy is that? That's actually an insane stat. At number 22, I have the Denver Broncos. They won versus the Washington football team. Again, it wasn't a pretty win. They almost lost this game when they fumbled the ball trying to run out the clock, but they won. They're back to 500, and this defense looked like it played better than it did last week versus the Browns. At number 21, I have the Seattle Seahawks. So they got a much needed win versus the Jaguars. This defense only gave up 7 points. I know it was versus the Jaguars, but listen, this defense was struggling. And any win this defense can take, they should, and just build upon it. So good win for the Seahawks, much needed. At number 20, I have the Chicago Bears. So yes, they lost to the 49ers this past weekend, but Justin Fields is looking better and better in every single NFL game he plays, despite this O-line being absolutely terrible. I did expect more from this Bears defense though this past weekend. At number 19, I have the Minnesota Vikings. So they lost at home in primetime to a backup quarterback. So yeah, that is not good. The coaching and the play calling has been pretty questionable for the Vikings, and Kirk Cousins is not very good. At number 18, I have the San Francisco 49ers. So they get a much needed bounce back win versus the Bears. I'm still expecting more from this team though. This team should be playing better, and this team should have a better record than this. At number 17, I have the Indianapolis Colts. So this was a really bad loss for them this weekend versus the Titans. Yes, they went to overtime, but now they have lost both games this season versus the Titans, which means the Titans have, won that tiebreaker and are really ahead of them now in the AFC South. Carson Wentz simply has to play better when the game is on the line. At number 16, I have the Cleveland Browns. So after their loss this past weekend versus the Steelers, the Browns are 4-4 and are in last place in the AFC North. Like, who would have predicted that at the beginning of the season, that the Browns would be in last place? They're in a really, really tough spot with all their injuries. Baker didn't really look great in the game. I know he's dealing with that injury. But this offense only put up 10 points versus the Steelers, and I don't care how good your defense is, you're not going to win many games when your offense only puts up 10 points. At At number 15, I have the New England Patriots. So they had a huge win versus the Chargers, a really unexpected win versus the Chargers, and this defense made Justin Herbert look really bad in that game. At number 14, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this team is quietly stacking wins right now. They have been winning a few games in a row now after not so great starts to the season. Well, after week 1, because they beat the Bills week 1, but listen, this defense is really, really good, and this defense can carry this team when this offense isn't playing well, because this offense is kind of hit or miss with the way Ben Roethlisberger is playing right now. At number 13, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. So the Chargers are coming off 2 back-to-back really bad losses versus the Ravens and the Patriots. In the game versus the Patriots this past weekend, Justin Herbert did not play well at all. Just like I said, it was probably his worst game of the season. But the Chargers need to figure it out. They need to get back on track, because I believe they do have the talent on this team to make the playoffs and have a playoff run. At number 12, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Chiefs get back to 500. Yes, it wasn't a pretty win versus the Giants, but a win is a win, and maybe this will get the Kansas City Chiefs back on track. At number 11, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, the Raiders were on a bye. I didn't want to have to move them down during their bye week, but I just had to move them down 1 spot, but they can easily move back up this upcoming week. At number 10, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. So they lost to the Jets this past weekend. Was it a trap game? I don't know, but they simply need to play better than they played in that game. This defense really was making Mike White look like the second coming of Tom Brady or something. Joe Burrow had a pretty bad tip interception. It was like a tip ball interception in the 4th quarter that basically led to the Jets winning this game. So yeah, these type of games happen for good teams at times, but they can't let it happen again. At number 9, I have the Baltimore Ravens. They were on a bye, nothing to say here. At number 8, I have the New Orleans Saints. So what a win for this team versus the Buccaneers. I mean, they had to play Trevor Siemian part of this game because Jameis unfortunately tore his ACL and is going to be out for the season, which is super, super unfortunate and absolutely stinks. But Trevor Siemian came in and he put this team in a position to win the game. This defense is so good. I mean, this defense is carrying this team. They picked off Tom Brady 2 times in this game. At number 7, I have the Buffalo Bills. So they won versus the Dolphins. It was a very close game, though. It was closer than it should have been. I mean, it was 3-3 at half. But in the 4th quarter, when they needed to, they were able to score and they got the win. At number 6, I have the Tennessee Titans. So another week, another big win for the Titans. They won versus the Colts, and this was a huge win for them because they are now sitting comfortably atop the AFC South, and they have the tiebreaker in that division versus the Colts because they won both games versus the Colts this season. I'm really, really hoping Derrick Henry will be able to return at some point this season because he is really the most important player on that team. At number 5, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they obviously lost to the Saints, and it was just a bad game for the Buccaneers all around. Tom Brady did not play his best game. This defense did not play a good game. It was just a sloppy game for the Buccaneers, and they honestly deserve to lose. At number 4, I have the Arizona Cardinals, the former number 1 team on this list. They are no longer undefeated. A really heartbreaking loss versus the Packers. I still think this is a good team. At number 3, I have the Dallas Cowboys. So they go on the road in prime time, start Cooper Rush, and win the game. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I do gotta say that. This defense was playing insanely well this game. I think this was one of the best games that this defense played this season. They were making so many tackles for loss, just playing great, great football and getting a ton of pressure on Kirk Cousins. Really made him uncomfortable and really made him throw the ball a ton behind the line of scrimmage. And obviously, Cooper Rush led this team on a game-winning drive, which is pretty cool. At number 2, I have the Los Angeles Rams. So they scored 38 points versus the Texans in 3 quarters while holding them to 0 points in 3 quarters. And obviously, they just traded for Von Miller, so this defense is going to get even better. And at number 1, I have the Green Bay Packers. So you guys know, usually when a team that's in like that top 5 area beats the team that was number 1 on this list, that team becomes number 1, and that is the Packers. They took down the former number 1 team on this list, the Arizona Cardinals, the only undefeated team left in the league before they played them, the Arizona Cardinals, and won on the road. That was even more impressive, that they won in Arizona without Allen Lazard, without Devontae Adams, and all the injuries that they already had on defense. And Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. This Packers team is really good. They haven't lost since week 1 despite all the injuries on this team, and the Packers are legit, guys. The Packers are a very, very good football team. So that is it for this video, guys. Make sure to drop a thumbs up, comment down below, let me know what you think about this power ranking, and subscribe, guys. Peace!